Hello there. Today I want to introduce you to a place in Korea. It's a little different from the usual tourist spots that everyone visits. It's somewhere you can have a unique and interesting experience. The place we're going to today is Dongmyo. There are several ways to get to Dongmyo, but today I'm going to take the subway. In Korea, trains have two directions, upbound and downbound. Alright, enough chatter, I'll get going now. The train I'm taking to Dongmyo 3ga station, where I'll transfer, is an upbound train. Upbound and downbound trains even play different background music at the stations. Upbound song. And downbound song. It's easy to get confused, so it's good to know this when using the subway in Korea. Honestly, I used to get it mixed up all the time too, until I made this video. After transferring to line 1 at Dongmyo 3ga, I got off at Dongmyo station. Now we've arrived at Dongmyo. Think of it like a giant flea market or vintage bazaar. And sometimes, just sometimes, you might stumble across real branded items like the people buying and selling here at Dongmyo today, watches or wallets. No joke, something you buy for 5,000 KRW, about $4, could actually be worth 5 million KRW, over $3,000. But I'm not really the kind of person who chases after a lucky jackpot like that. So I'll pass. Whenever I see groups of older folks gathered like this, I always feel like there's something interesting going on. Looks like they're selling health supplements or something like that. After the Korean War, 1950 to 1953, many peddlers and street medicine vendors became common throughout the country. And many of the people buying and selling here at Dongmyo today actually lived through those times. That's probably why these kinds of street-side supplement stalls feel natural to them. Besides those health supplements, you can also find all kinds of alcohol being sold. There's even a used bookstore here. I spotted a book about Greek and Roman mythology. When I was a teenager, there were 3 comic book series that really defined my childhood: Olympus Mythology, Magic Jeonjamon, and Maple Story. Seeing them again now, it feels so nostalgic. What about you guys? Were there any folktales or comic series you loved when you were growing up? Let me know in the comments. Seeing those books again here feels so nostalgic. Wow. There are so many books here. I see some fairly recent ones, but also lots of really old and rare looking ones tucked in between. The aisles are super narrow, so I'm going to step outside for now. Then I stopped by a vintage antiques market. I found this interesting item that shows the 12 animals of the East Asian zodiac, which are deeply rooted in Korean tradition. These are called the Sibijisin, the 12 guardian animals. And they go in this order: rat, ja, ox, chuk; tiger, in; rabbit, mio; dragon, jin; snake, sa; horse, o; sheep, min; monkey, shin; rooster, yu; dog, suo; and pig, hei. There's a traditional folk tale behind how these animals were chosen and the order they're placed in. So let me tell you a quick version of that story. A long, long time ago, on the last day of the year, the gods announced that the first 12 animals to arrive at their house on the morning of January 1st would each be given a year to rule over in the zodiac. Hearing this, the diligent ox, knowing he was slow, decided to leave early in the night. But the sly rat secretly climbed onto the ox's back without him knowing. Just as the ox arrived at the god's house, the rat jumped down and rushed ahead, making the rat first and the ox second. The tiger and the rabbit started their journey at sunrise. Thanks to his quick legs, the rabbit arrived at the house first, but the tiger growled, "If you don't let me go in first, I'll eat you." The poor rabbit got scared and let the tiger go ahead. So the tiger became third, and the rabbit fourth. Then came the dragon, flying majestically through the sky on clouds. After him, the snake slithered quietly along the ground to arrive. The dragon was fifth, and the snake sixth. The horse ran fast but had to drop off his rider at their destination, so he ended up seventh. The sheep, on the other hand, got lost because its thick wool covered its eyes and made it hard to see. So it came eighth. Now here comes the clever monkey. He was just playing around when he saw the dog heading toward the god's house. Wanting to tease him, the monkey told the dog, "That place is full of wild beasts. It's too dangerous to go." The dog believed him and turned back. Thankfully, a passing rooster told the dog the truth, and the dog rushed back toward the god's house. So they arrived in this order: monkey ninth, rooster 10th, dog 11th. Finally, the pig, always hungry, spent all day eating until the evening of January 1st day. He arrived last, and that's how he became 12th in the zodiac. But the story doesn't end there. On the morning of January 2nd, the cat arrived at the god's house. Turns out, the cat had been napping and didn't hear the announcement. The rat, who knew the cat had missed it, lied and gave him the wrong date. Since then, the cat has been chasing the rat in revenge. And that's why, to this day, cats are always washing their faces and trying to catch rats. That's a simple version of the Korean zodiac story called Sibiji Sin, or the 12 guardian animals. If you like this kind of story, let me know in the comments. I'd love to share more Korean myths and folk tales with you from time to time. As you can see, there are even DVDs of recently released Korean and international movies for sale here. To be honest, they might not exactly be legal. If you go inside, you'll find shelves filled with DVDs and CDs from the 1970s and 80s, both Korean and foreign titles. When I was young, there weren't platforms like Netflix or YouTube. We had to go to local shops to rent DVDs to watch movies. And yes, we also had cassette players at home. They looked like this. Do any of you living abroad remember these? They bring back so many memories. That's another special charm of Dongmyo. It's a place where both people in their 20s and 30s, and even those in their 60s and 70s, can feel a deep sense of nostalgia. Now, one of the most iconic sights in Dongmyo: the street vendors selling second-hand clothes directly on the sidewalk. It's simple. You dig through piles of clothes spread on tarps, and if something catches your eye, you buy it. That's it. Oh, and look what I found. This is a traditional Korean street snack called beondegi, boiled silkworm pupae. Honestly, I can't eat this. It creeps me out, and I know a lot of foreigners struggle with it too. Now, since there aren't any changing rooms here, you usually hold shirts up to your body to check the fit. But pants are trickier, right? There's actually a famous life hack from a popular Korean variety show called Muhandujeon. In one episode, Jung Hyung-don teaches G-Dragon how to check your waist size without trying on the pants. Let's take a quick look at the clip.
옷 내놓고 판 데 있어. 잘 고르면 그거 한 장 2, 3천 원씩. 근데 그 얘기를 아니고 황흑동은 탈의실이 없어요.
그거 어떻게 입어요?
그냥 눈대중으로 이렇게 바지 같은 거 목에 대보면 허리가 목에 맞으면 맞는 거 아니야.
So I tried it myself too. If you wrap the waist of the pants around your neck, it'll roughly match your waist size. Yeah, it sounds weird, but it actually works. Well, not for me though. Even if the waist fits, my thighs and calves are too thick, so most pants don't fit me anyway. So I just gave up and moved on. Still, it's such a fun and unique shopping experience, and the prices are ridiculously cheap. You've got to try it at least once. Due to copyright issues, I couldn't include the video, but the price is usually negotiable, ranging from 1,000 to 2,000 won.
이거 얼마예요?
I gave it a try. How much is this, ma'am?
4,000원? 4,000원? 아니 비싼데 좀 깎아주면 안 돼요? 3,000원이요? 네. 고맙습니다.
Deal accepted. Normally, the price is 4,000 won, but you can usually get about a 1,000 won discount if you ask nicely. So yes, bargaining is definitely possible here. Just keep in mind that not all vendors are open to discounts, so it's best to ask politely. Also, an important tip. They only accept cash here, no cards unfortunately. So I made sure to bring about 100,000 won in cash with me that day just to be safe. Now, aside from the street vendors with bundles and tarps, you can also find indoor shops that are a bit more expensive, but they carry really rare and vintage items. While browsing the clothes, I came across a store that had some figures and retro toys. Recently, I've been getting more interested in this kind of stuff, so I decided to take a look. It reminded me of the time when I used to love collecting figures. I even went to a figure shop in Myeongdong and bought tons of them back in the day. I also spotted a windbreaker I kind of liked. But it was bright red, and red just doesn't suit me, so I hung it back up. Still, the price was only around 20,000 won, which isn't bad at all, especially considering how expensive clothes are in Korea these days. Most jackets now start at 50,000 won or more, so this was actually a pretty good deal. By the way, how much do clothes usually cost in your country? I'd love to know, so feel free to drop a comment. After walking past the clothing stalls, I decided to explore a bit of Dongmyo's historical side. Dongmyo is actually a Confucian shrine from the Joseon dynasty. It originated from a Chinese temple dedicated to Guan Yu, a general from the Ming dynasty. The name Dongmyo literally means Eastern Shrine. This shrine reflects the historical relationship between Joseon Korea and Ming China, as well as Korea's values of loyalty and Confucian rituals. It's a fascinating mix of folk beliefs and cultural tradition. After a short visit, I stepped back outside, and right on cue, the lively energy of Dongmyo pulled me back in. I really wanted to capture that raw, unfiltered vibe on camera. There's just something special about this place. Next, I stopped by a general goods shop. I saw a bronze version of the 12 zodiac animals, also known as Sibijisin in Korea. They had everything from tiny cute bells to giant ones the size of my fist. Even though I don't usually pay much attention to this kind of stuff, seeing it up close like this made it feel a lot more meaningful. And then I spotted something really cool. It looked like an ancient silver ingot from the Qing dynasty in China. There was also a coin from the Joseon era called Sangpyeon Tongbo. And look, a traditional Korean mapai, horse pass. Back in the day, this pass allowed you to borrow horses. The number of horses drawn on the tablet showed how many you could take. This one had 4 horses, so it must have belonged to someone with serious authority. Once I stepped inside, I found tons of antique and unique vintage items from all over the world. Everything from old vinyl LPs to quirky collectibles. Check out this rotary dial telephone. Apparently, this type of phone used to be a common household item back in the day. I've never actually used one before, so this was my first time trying it, and it was honestly such a cool experience. And look, a slot machine like the kind you'd find in a casino. I wasn't able to try a roulette table on my recent trip abroad, so I had a little fun pretending here. But I didn't want to mess anything up, so I stopped before touching it too much. In general, the shop was filled with beautifully preserved antiques, mostly from around the 1970s and earlier. There was even an old-school computer, the kind I've only seen in school textbooks. Seeing it in real life was so fascinating. And take a look at these vintage drink bottles. There was even an old version of Korea's beloved soju bottle. Seriously, this place is a treasure trove of rare finds. I also found some really unusual tech stuff. like what looked like a broken pair of 1-cent Gen AirPods, and even an early model of a walkie-talkie style cell phone. It was honestly like stepping into a museum full of surprises. If you're ever in Korea, I definitely recommend stopping by here. You won't regret it. After wandering through the busy streets, I started to get hungry and decided to grab something to eat. That's when I saw a sign that said Gukbap for 3,000 won, around $2.20 USD, which is unbelievably cheap, especially these days. Gukbap is a traditional Korean dish that literally means soup with rice. It's one of the most affordable, comforting, and beloved meals for everyday Koreans. A few years ago, you could easily get a hearty bowl for 7,000, 8,000 won, which was still a good deal compared to other meals. The best part, one bowl of hot gukbap with a few scoops of rice could keep you full and satisfied all day. That's why we have a saying in Korea, let's grab a bowl of gukbap, meaning let's eat something filling and comforting. But these days, prices have gone up across the board. Even gukbap now often costs over 10,000 won, so finding a 3,000 won bowl felt like hitting the jackpot. I had to try it. They even had a one-person jokbal, pig's feet set. But since I had already eaten something earlier, I decided to just stick with the gukbap. The side dishes were self-serve. They had things like perilla leaf pickles, kimchi, spicy paste, fermented shrimp, and even a rice cooker and a self-serve bar with extra ingredients like sliced intestines and liver. All of this for just 3,000 won. Insane value for money. Since boiled liver can be a bit plain and have a slight meaty odor, I added a touch of salt and pepper to enhance the flavor. Even though it was still early in the evening, there were a lot of visitors. The prices are good, but I think more people come because of the great service. When gukbap arrived, I started by adding some of the spicy paste, called dadaegi, to give it a bit of a kick. I used dadaegi, spicy seasoning, to add a bit of heat and flavor to the broth. But since it's hard to season the soup with dadaegi alone, you should also add some fermented shrimp, seiyujut, to adjust the taste. With gukbap, it's common to mix the rice directly into the soup, so because adding rice can dilute the flavor, I usually season the broth a bit stronger from the beginning. Of course, it can be tricky to get the taste right at first, so adding the dadaegi and seiyujut after adding the rice is totally fine too. Not sure about other Koreans, but I'm a bit impatient. So I don't really like adjusting the seasoning over and over again after putting in the rice. I usually just eyeball it, and it turns out just right most of the time. I also tried the boiled liver, and although I've had many different types of gukbap in Korea, this is the first time I've been served boiled intestines like this. The flavor was quite mild, so I had to dip it generously in salt, but that's just because I tend to eat things quite salty. I also tried the pickled perilla leaves. I heard that many foreigners really dislike perilla leaves. For Koreans, it's kind of like the strong, unique taste that cilantro has. And just like some Koreans can't eat cilantro, I've heard that many foreigners feel the same way about perilla. But pickled perilla leaves lose a lot of that strong raw flavor, so I think even if you're not used to it, you might still enjoy them. Just a heads up, the pickles alone are very, and I mean really very salty, so I highly recommend eating them with rice. I added seasoned dadaegi and seiyujang to enhance the flavor, giving it more umami, spiciness, and saltiness. There are many kinds of gukbap, Korean soup with rice. There are actually many different types of gukbap, depending on the region and ingredients. I also tried makgeolli, a traditional Korean fermented rice wine. Honestly, it kind of tastes like the alcoholic version of Milky's, a Korean creamy soda. It looks milky and white, just like milk, but the taste is slightly sweet, a bit nutty, and you can definitely feel that hint of alcohol. Jipyeong makgeolli is the most commonly consumed type of makgeolli in Korea. These days, there are many flavored makgeollis targeting younger people. For example, there are banana-flavored makgeolli and ones that taste like the Korean ice cream, babamba. Just like Korea's fruit-flavored soju, there are many varieties of makgeolli with different flavors, so I recommend trying